Latest episode of Winging It is out. Be sure to check it out wherever you enjoy your podcasts or on YouTube for the visual audience. Want to talk some MLB postseason baseball, which has been fun, even though it hasn't included my Cardinals since the wild card walk-off loss. Before we get to our daily hitter with some big news and notes from this week in fantasy, a lot of running backs going down. We get you the lowdown on Devontae Booker, Darrell, and Damian Williams. Russell Wilson's injury, what's the deal with Daniel Jones, etc. Lots to get to with our guy Ricky Larson of Lucky Shots Media. But we start with the Astros blasting the White Sox. So much for Tony La Russa, right? Wasn't close. It was a 3-1 gentleman's sweep. Eloy and Yohan go missing. I mean, they just could not do anything against the Astros. They completely shelled up in the moment. The White Sox pitching gets absolutely lit up. Giolito, Lance Lynn, Kyle Tucker is just an absolute animal. He might be the best player on that team right now for the Astros, but they still have Correa, who's about to be a free agent, but he's always dangerous in the postseason. The Astros just absolutely smacked the White Sox, and they were favored in that series for a reason, of course. Let's see here. Tampa Bay, how about the shocking is Boston coming in, beating the Yankees, and then going on to beat the defending AL champs. Brandon Lau, what's going on with this guy? He had the great first half last year, and he's just kind of falling apart. He's a very streaky hitter, lots of power, but there's a lot of swing and miss potential. 0 for 18 in the divisional series. Nelson Cruz traded from the Twins to the Rays, right? 3 for 17. He just had, I think, a solo home run. Mike Zunino, when you have to rely on guys like Mike Zunino, yeah, he's fine for a good team, plug him into a lineup, good team, it's going to perform the season, but then you rely on them for when the stakes are high, and you get Mike Zunino 2 for 15. The Rays pitching, a lot of rookies, a lot of inexperience. They fell apart. Michael Wacha's throwing postseason innings. That's never a good sign. The Red Sox are just mashing right now. Devers, Bogarts, Hunter Renfroe, you name it. Christian Vasquez, the Alex Verdugo. These guys can play. And I love a good conspiracy theory. I saw this at TikTok, and if this is true, this is absolutely mind-boggling. So apparently in 2004, the World Series logo featured kind of these 3 flags, right? Like almost pennants in their logo. And these logos come out right before the season. Red Sox win the come from behind inexplicably against the Yankees down 3-0, first time ever in baseball history. And they go on to win, break the curse of the Bambino. They win in 04. In 07, same flags pop up. What happens? Red Sox win it. What was the year they beat the Cardinals? Right, that was 2012, 2013. Guess what happened? Yeah, that was 2013. Flags. So, and then these years, there haven't been flags since. Like, I don't know. You'll have to search it out. Sorry, Red Sox flags conspiracy on World Series flag conspiracy on TikTok or on Google search. And what's interesting, though, of course, is this year the ALCS has flags, their logo. The World Series does not. Look where the Red Sox are. And I love an opportunity to fade the Astros. Red Sox are a dog in this series. I think they're going to beat the Astros. I like this to go 6-7 games. And Boston, it's hard to win at Fenway. They're going to boo the hell out of the Astros there. I think the Red Sox can clip one in Houston. I like this to be a 6 or 7 game series and the Red Sox to go represent the AL. Crazier things have happened. The Braves were just better than the Brewers. Christian Yelich, can he turn it around? This guy was an MVP to now looks like he could be one of the biggest busts you've seen. That contract he signs, the extension, that kicks in after he had a horrible 2020. Okay, was that an anomaly? The shortened season, the pandemic? No. Full season this year, only 9 home runs, and he stinks it up in the playoffs. I heard someone on MLB Network say, is he Jason Hayward? Oh, my goodness. I would love that. The Jason Hayward contract for the Cubs, the Yelich contract for the Brewers, Cardinals to win the NL Central next year. Why not? Brewers, Craig Counsell, that team. I mean, the pitching The pitching's great, but yeah, that offense here's the offense, and this is why the offense failed them in the playoffs, is because you were relying on, when Christian Yelich isn't hitting, you got to rely on Willy Adames, Abisail Garcia, Colton Wong, personal favorite, and Lorenzo Cain. That's not going to get it done. Freddie Freeman gets the the decisive blow against lefty Josh Hader. Could have used Devin Williams had he not punched a wall, right, when celebrating the division. What a bonehead. Brewers, early exit. See ya. Cardinals, we're taking the division back next year. Freeman comes through in the clutch. My preseason MLB futures, I took the Braves to win to the NL East, cash it. I took the Oakland A's to win the AL West, did not hit that. Dodgers to win the NL West, a little bit juicy, did not hit that. But I'm liking this a little bit more. Braves 10-1, my preseason World Series bet. I've got Braves over Red Sox World Series. What do we have tonight? Who will be the Braves opponents? I like the Giants at home. I think they find a way. They've got Logan Webb, their guy who shut down the Dodgers in that game one. They're at home. Dave Roberts is getting cute. They just announced this afternoon. He's starting Corey Knebel. Is it a bullpen game? Is he doing what Craig Counsell did last year, a couple of years ago, where he starts a reliever and then he pulls him immediately to try and mess up the lineup construction in the other dugout? He's getting a little too weird here for the defending champs. I don't know if this is going to pay off. Why not just put the league leader in wins there, Julio Urias, right? Why not just start it there? Why risk messing him up if you bring him in the middle of the first or in the second? Very odd. It's a toss-up game here in San Francisco. Let's take the home team. I like San Francisco to move on, but I've got the Braves going to the World Series, and let's see if the flag theory, conspiracy theory, is something of notice. Red Sox Astros begin tomorrow. MLB postseason has been fun even without the Cardinals, but the always fun and the always king sport. The NFL, let's get caught up on some noteworthy headlines as you line up your DFS lineups this weekend. Plug and play your fantasy lineups for the week to begin tonight with Tampa Bay and Philly. Ricky Larson coming up here. Welcome into our weekly hit here as we get educated on this week in fantasy football. It's Ricky Larson of Lucky Shots Media. Ricky, let's talk right now, diving into some headlines. You had some great things to say on your podcast. Again, Lucky Shots Media on YouTube, Twitter. You do now kind of a show on Wednesday, fantasy advice on Thursday, and then we have our gambling hit on Friday.
Yes, sir.
So content throughout the week to look forward to. Want to start with Saquon Barkley getting injured again, but a guy you like behind him that people might want to throw into their lineups this week in Devontae Booker.
For sure. So can we just get on Saquon for a second?
Yes, of course.
You and I, a couple weeks ago, we talked about, is Saquon still good?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? He just needs to get that confidence up. He's going to be good. The week before, wow, he finally found that confidence.
Yeah.
It was great.
I looked like a fool.
Like riding high on Saquon. And then this week, he accidentally stumbles over somebody's foot.
Mm-hmm.
And his foot swells up like Professor Clump. I mean, it was ridiculous. Now he's going to be out for a while. So I think just be done with Saquon.
Am I back? Because, yeah, no, he's not good. He stinks. Stay on the field.
I mean, how does that happen?
It's bad luck. Yeah. I mean, it's football too, but what freak injury, but again, yeah, everyone come at me. Saquon had the week where he beats the Saints, and then he can't stay on the field. It's tough. Again, I don't like putting the guy down, but plug and play. Booker's a guy that can find the end zone.
Yeah, here we go. So Devontae Booker, I think he's a fantastic play this week. We saw what he did last week when Saquon went out. He came in, had about 50 yards on the ground. I think 3 or 4 catches and a touchdown, both ends, rushing and receiving. And he's pretty much just got to step in and take over the role Saquon plays, because it's not like they have a ton of running back depth, and he is the best that they have. So he's going to inherit pretty much that entire role. We saw him do it last week. And correct me if I'm wrong, Devontae Booker, former Bronco as well. Yeah.
Former Bronco. Yes, sir.
So gotta love the guy. But He's just a fantastic play, regardless of who the quarterback's going to be. If it is Glennon, I actually like that better for Booker himself, because Glennon, isn't in all the time, doesn't necessarily run this offense consistently enough to know where to go with the ball right away. So he's going to check it down. So I think Devontae Booker is fantastic this week.
Yeah, I picked him up in a couple leagues. Definitely thinking about streaming him as we get into our first bye weeks, right? So definitely looking for these options. Want to talk about Daniel Jones again? We don't know if I think we were all collectively shocked with a couple things. One, Mike Glennon's a giant. Two, Mike Glennon's still playing when he kind of lumbered onto the field, and we're like, oh boy. Daniel Jones is having a pretty damn solid year overall quarterback wise, but certainly fantasy, right? He's got a low key running threat. Daniel Jones is a quarterback fantasy wise. Overall thoughts on him?
He's a guy that I've been looking at because, like I said in my podcast, I've got Justin Herbert across every single league. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones is a guy I've been like, is he going to be who I stream? Because I don't carry another quarterback. So I'm like, exactly. Is Daniel Jones a guy that I could plug in and be like, I'm okay with? And for sure, I would be 100% okay streaming him, depending on your quarterback situation. So if, say, your quarterback got hurt, say you had Russell Wilson, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, I think you could plug in Daniel Jones. You'd have to temper your expectations. I don't think he's going to go off for 40 like Russ could, but 20 to 25, maybe even a 30-point game with his rushing capabilities. Yeah, I think you can 100% be confident. Now we just have to check and see this week, concussion wise, what he's gonna be, because that was a nasty concussion. Like, it didn't look honestly that bad, and then he got up and looked like a baby deer that had just been born. So this week, not knowing who's going to be that quarterback, who knows? But for the remainder of the season, or like I said, if you had Russ and he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, I think you can roll out Daniel Jones and be confident in about 20 points per week.
It's the NFL, and it's moving past week 5 into the season here. So quarterbacks are going to get injured. The tough injury to Russell Wilson. Tua's on the IR. I want to ask you about Tua because it's fascinating. Like, everyone's kind of all collectively realizing, they were theorizing it last year. This year we know, oh boy, we all missed out on Herbert, especially the Dolphins, because what do you have with Tua? Often injured in college, now in the NFL. Do you trust him at all coming back?
So Tua's a guy I never trusted. My theory is Alabama, Ohio State, those kind of places. We're seeing more quarterbacks come out of those places. You've never been able to trust any quarterback from Bama, any quarterback from Ohio State. Tua was the same way. I didn't necessarily trust him last year, coming straight off that big hip injury. I was a little confused of why the Dolphins decided, one, to draft him, two, to put him in regardless of what they were doing last year after the bye week, and then consistently taking him out to put Fitzpatrick back in. This season, still haven't really seen anything from Tua. Obviously, he got hurt again. Tua is a guy that if you can at all avoid him, I would, because the production really isn't there. Even with the weapons that he now has, Gesicki's an animal. Waddle is a speed demon. Devontae Parker he's a very underrated wide receiver because he hasn't had a great quarterback or a great offense to play with yet. But yeah, I'm 100% out on Tua. I guess I could just say I've always been out on Tua.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting concept. Let's talk running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes down. Looks like he's going to miss a couple weeks, MCL sprain. But how about, it was first Damian Williams, doing everyone a solid, streaming him for the Bears. But now the eyes and the focus come on Darrell Williams, who looks to take over in the Chiefs backfield. Is that a plug and play as well, not unlike Booker?
Yeah. It's one that you are going to plug him in. you're gonna have to temper your expectations. I currently am plugging him into a league. But it's the Chiefs offense. There's always a chance that you're going to have whatever running back they have score a touchdown at some point, get some receptions. And Williams didn't do bad last week, coming in and replacing Clyde. He did pretty well in the preseason, but take that for what you will. It's preseason.
Right.
But, I mean, he's an athlete and he's a good player. He's somebody that I've heard that the Chiefs want to somehow work in every single game, regardless of if Clyde's in. So they obviously have confidence in him. And if you had CEH and you were able to go get Darrell Williams, you got to have the same confidence the Chiefs have in him, because that's really all we have to go off of. So I think he's one that you plug in this week. If he screws you over, sure, go look for something else. But for this week, roll the dice, because what else are you going to do?
Right. Familiar. He's a low-key Chiefs veteran, right? Familiar with Andy Reid and the system and Mahomes. What did you make of Trey Lance's first NFL start? Did he kind of show you something coming up against a tough team? The Cardinals defense, no slouch. I was impressed with how often they ran him. 16 attempts, or just, I guess he ran himself too, but he piles up the rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's about what you should have expected from him. He's just a crazy story. He started one season for a Division I AA school or whatever, FCS school, and gets drafted inside the top 5.
Yeah, with the Niners moving up.
Anomaly. But you've seen the flashes of awesomeness from him. And he's a Kyler Murray type. He's a Lamar Jackson type. He doesn't have all of that experience, but he can give you that kind of production. He's going to either have a designed run, he's going to take off by himself, and then he's got weapons around him that can make him look good. When Kittle's fully healthy, that's great. Debo he's a man.
Having a huge year. Yep.
I love Debo. And then you also have Brandon Ayuk, running around, making plays. He's got a million running backs behind him. You don't know what their value is, but he's got all these running backs. And he's got probably the most innovative head coach we've ever seen in the NFL. So I like Trey Lance. Wasn't necessarily big on him straight out of college, but he's looked not terrible. He's looked better than Justin Fields, is what I can say.
Perfect segue. What are your thoughts on Fields? I mean, I don't know what to expect. It's year one. The line is terrible for the Bears. Everyone hates his head coach. Now all of a sudden he's got Green Bay coming in. Is this going to be like, this is the team he's supposedly going to be fighting for years to come, right? For the next decade. What are we going to expect against Green Bay? Fields at home.
I'm an Ohio State fan, and I don't like Justin Fields as a professional quarterback. He looked all right last week, but just all right isn't going to beat the Green Bay Packers. Or
let me give some context to it. I mean, he gets the win again. The Raiders, where they, no one throws games, but if you were to throw a game, it's when your head coach does something like Gruden did or got caught for. 5.6. I mean, 12 for 20, 111 yards against a team that's apparently not trying. If you don't turn it over, fine. But I mean, he's not even been that dynamic a rusher this year. 3 yards per carry. I chalk that up to the line being putrid, but yeah, he hasn't wowed you in any way, except for maybe just wins.
There's been nothing that has impressed me about him. I do want to give the benefit of the doubt that Matt Nagy's just a bad head coach anyway.
Yeah.
And this offense for at least 3 years now has not really known what the hell they're doing at all. But that paired with Justin Fields' lack of production, you got to be out on him until you finally see something, or the Bears finally fire Matt Nagy.
Right. Speaking of Ohio State, let's get you out of here on this. This is Ricky Larson, Lucky Shots Media, our weekly DFS hit, but bonus college football question here. Now that Bama's lost, things a little bit more muddied. Ohio State's starting to figure it out more. What do you got for us? Are they going to make the playoff?
There's a good chance. If you look at the entire Big Ten, though, it is stacked. I mean, this past week, we just had a big matchup with Iowa and
taking out Penn State. That's right.
Yeah. And they were both top 5. Like, it's a stacked conference. So it's going to be tough once we get into those kind of games. But we're definitely back on track after a close game with Minnesota because we couldn't stop the run, after losing to Oregon because we couldn't stop the run. We've gone out and annihilated some teams. Yeah. So it's finally looking like Ohio State football again. It'll be interesting to see when we get into those big games. Michigan is up there. I don't know if we play Iowa this regular season.
I've got it pulled up. Here are your games that you're going to keep an eye on. In fact, we'll just go through the remaining schedule. Off this week, and then you're at Indiana. Blowout.
Easy.
Home versus Penn State. Penn State just lost to Iowa. You would think Ohio State's going to be favored in that game. Should be interesting. At Nebraska, I mean, this happens every year. People are going to be like, oh, Lincoln under the lights. No, Ohio State's going to go in there and roll them. Home versus Purdue, blowout. Michigan State's interesting, but it's in the horseshoe. And then I think it's going to come down to at Ann Arbor to close it out.
Yeah. And I will never overlook Purdue again. So we're not overlooking that one at all. It was either last year or the year before. We go in, we're playing Purdue. We're supposed to easily win that game. And then Purdue kind of puts an ass kicking on us.
Yeah.
And so Purdue is one to watch.
Right.
Not underestimate Purdue.
I think David Blau might have been the quarterback there, NFL quarterback. Yeah, interesting to say the least. My football team's back in action, so I got Boston College to look forward to this Saturday too. All right, Ricky, we appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week. Let's enjoy some football.
Yes, sir. Thank you.